All right, and we are live. Thank you all for joining Moonwell's community call for the month of August. I'm Majin, or Eli. We also have Luke Youngblood on the call. I hope everyone's on-chain summer is going well. Exciting time seeing Base develop and all the activity going on there. Today, we're going to start with some general updates and a shout out to the community from Luke. Then we're going to move on to governance updates with Coolhorsegirl. Then Sean and I from VectorDAO are going to have a little chat about the new Moonwell branding. And then finally, we're going to do some more community shout outs and general updates. So Luke, if you don't mind, we'll pass the mic to you.
Thanks, Eli. It's great to be here today, and I want to just give a warm welcome to the entire community. First of all, I want to thank everyone in the community. We have one of the best communities in all of DeFi, and the launch on Base would not have been as successful without your support. So I want to just thank everyone in the community for the tremendous support we've had for our launch on Base in the last few weeks, and all the love you've shown for our new design and the new app. We couldn't have done it without you, and we really appreciate you being here. I also want to thank some contributors, Gauntlet, Warden Finance, VectorDAO, for the amazing contributions they've made. Also on the security side, Halborn and Coderina, who just finished their audits. It's been phenomenal to have so many great contributors to the project, and we couldn't have done it without you either. So I wanted to just speak really briefly about the launch on Base. Things are going extremely well. We've been consistently in the top 10 protocols on Base since launch, and for such a small project and community like ours, that's really saying a lot, that we're able to hold our own against all of these top projects in the ecosystem. And again, just thank you for your support. I did want to touch briefly on what you can do with the well you earn. And as a reminder, you don't need to buy well. You can simply earn well by using the protocol. And that's a great way to sort of become a part of the community and participate in governance. So for those of you that are earning well on Base, if you would like to vote in governance, and if you'd like to help secure the Moonwell protocol, you can bridge it back to Moonbeam using the wormhole portal bridge, and you can stake it in the safety module, and that will allow you to participate in on-chain governance, as well as help secure the Moonwell protocol and get rewarded for doing so. So if you like a passive experience where you can earn more well by helping to secure the protocol and participate in governance, I highly recommend you look into doing that. And if you have if you need help, please join our Discord, and our mods are there 24/7, and they're happy to help you with bridging or with anything you might need help with. We're there to help, and we have a private support ticket system that works really well. You can get private help in a private channel from a mod. You don't have to share your wallet address in public or anything like that. And then for those of you that are all in on the Base ecosystem and really want to maximize your participation there, I highly recommend that you check out one of our launch partners, Aerodrome. They just launched a couple days ago, and they are achieving phenomenal success on the Base ecosystem. And so if you are earning well, go to Aerodrome, and you can provide liquidity on Aerodrome. I think you'll find it's very rewarding. So I encourage you to check that out if you'd like to keep your well on Base. Thanks so much for the opportunity to talk today. And I just really want to thank the entire team behind me and all the contributors to the Moonwell protocol. And with that, I'll let Eli and the rest of the team take it away. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Luke. Yeah, that's a fantastic update. And I do second Luke. Thank you so much to the Moonwell community who's supported us through this exciting launch, the activation of the protocol on Base, the new V2, the new front end. Yeah, we just have such a lovely community, and thank you all, and thank you to all Moonwell contributors who have been seeing this through. Without further ado, Madison, if we could bring you up, we have a lot of governance updates. Typically, for anyone that doesn't know, Madison is an active Moonwell community member, contributor, has put up a ton of important governance proposals. She's also, she works with Tally, writes the Tally newsletter, awesome person. And she typically gives these governance updates alone, but there are just so many to go through that, that we're going to try to tag team these. But How's it going, Madison?
Going good. Yeah. I'll just echo Luke like one more time when people ask like, why are you involved in Moonwell? I'm like, the community is so cool and big, especially for not just like some massive, it's not like Uniswap. It's Moonwell and it's still as like active and interested and making actual moves like the ones on base. So yeah, super excited to still be around.
Thank you, Madison. Yeah, we're definitely privileged to have the community we have and to have such a global community as well. Quick shout out to the localization team and everyone supporting the different alternate language groups. Like there's a slogan basis for everyone, and we feel the same in the Moonwell community. Moonwell's for everyone. But Madison, to kick things off, I want to briefly, before we like start running down through some of these recent and active proposals, I just want to flag we've actually changed the numbering system for proposals. So before, Moonwell improvement proposals or MIPs are on-chain governance proposals, and they're always just numbered sequentially. It didn't matter if it was on Moonbeam or Moonriver. They were just, one long string of proposals. So I think we got up to MIP 65, which is kind of insane for under a year of on-chain governance to have that many proposals. But now, as our ecosystem evolves, we've updated the numbering system. So now you'll see, instead of MIP, 65, it'll say MIP B01 for base, or MIP M for Moonbeam, or MIP R, and then the number for Moonriver. You'll see this as well in the Gov portal if you look at active proposals. MIP B03 was the latest base proposal. We have proposals up now for voting for Moonbeam. That's M01 and M02, and then the same for Moonriver, R01 and R02. Just a quick note on that. And then Madison, you ready to jump into some of these proposals with, I guess we could start with B0, activate Moonwell on base.
Let's do it. Yeah. So activate Moonwell on base. You'll remember this was up as a snapshot vote ages ago, along with an on-chain about community sentiment upon activating Moonwell on base. Passed very successfully. And we activated the Moonwell protocol on base, as well as markets for Bridge, USDC, ETH, and Coinbase ETH.
Yep. This was a huge proposal. It does have that moniker of B0 just because it's like the first, this is the first cross-chain proposal, the first base proposal. It activated these new markets for USDC, ETH, and CBETH. It also assigned governance rights or admin rights to the temporal governor. And then finally, it ratified an initial set of governance guardians, including yourself, Madison. And these governance guardians have like a discrete power to pause temporal governance or cross-chain governance, only in the case that basically the wormhole protocol is compromised and a proposal skips Moonbeam governance and goes straight to base. The guardians have the ability to, and only in that rare circumstance that hopefully will never happen, could temporarily pause, and then the Moonwell community could unpause temporal governance. We're actually going to touch on temporal governance a little more here in a bit, but let's keep getting through these proposals as there's quite a few, Madison. Then that led to B01.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll go through a few of the B ones. So B01 was Moonwell base IR parameter recommendation for wrapped ETH. This is a gauntlet proposal similar to a lot of the gauntlet proposals we've had for Moonwell and Moonbeam. It adjusted the interest rate parameters for Moonwell's ETH market on base, with the aim to increase ETH borrowing demand for leverage LST strategies and enhancing capital efficiency. Passed, easy. Then we have B02. That's the Moonwell wrapped ETH market improvement. So we're iterating on the first one. Originally, those borrowing from this market received wrapped ETH, which had to be manually borrowed before being actually utilized in the base ecosystem. So borrow repayments also had to be made in wrapped ETH, requiring users to rewrap the token. So this sort of rights the inconvenience that was. So borrows from this market are now distributed in native unwrapped ETH, and repayments are also made in native ETH. Then B03, onboard DAI's collateral. This one's important because DAI is important. This has activated a new market for DAI on Moonwell's base deployment. DAI is a decentralized collateral-backed crypto that maintains a stable 1-to-1 value with the US dollar, right? Stablecoin. DAI is made by MakerDAO, and it's maintained not through traditional asset backing, but rather collateralized debt in ETH and other assets. Then in the same proposal, we set initial risk parameters for this new market with the help of Gauntlet and Warden in a joint risk management, which is good to see.
Yep. Thank you for that rundown. And then quickly, we had some snapshots as well. So the first being Gauntlet's initial recommendations for Moonwell on base and cap guardianship. So this proposal gauged community sentiment around these initial asset recommendations for markets on base. And then it also ratified Gauntlet as borrow and supply cap guardian for base. And this is interesting because typically borrow and supply caps are adjusted through governance proposals, which you'll see actually active now. Gauntlet has risk parameter adjustment proposals for Moonbeam and Moonriver, which are decreasing borrow caps. But on base, thanks to this proposal, Gauntlet has the ability now to adjust these caps on the fly without the need for governance proposals. The reason this is important is, one, it lessens governance fatigue. As we've seen this month, there's just been so many proposals. So this will help with that, but also it allows, it enhances risk management and promotes efficient growth. So basically, let's say a market has reached its cap, but there's room for it to grow. Gauntlet doesn't have to wait the 5 days to get a governance proposal passed and executed on base. They can do it on the fly. And Gauntlet also will always update the community when making these adjustments. They actually made their first round of adjustments this week. And yeah, they created a forum post, let the community know, and yeah, updated it. Do you want to take the next snapshot, Madison?
Yep. So the next one it had to do with the preferred path to incentivize markets on Moonwell's base deployment with Well. So we had a few choices. The winner ended up being liquidity incentives. We're using a previously unallocated chunk of 217,500,000 Well, which is like almost 4.5% of the total supply. We're gonna go through that one. Then next we have Warden Finance's proposal to Moonwell base rewards optimization. This appointed Warden Finance as emissions admin for base markets. Did a few different things as well, managing and optimizing liquidity incentives for Moonwell's base markets, managing and optimizing interest rate curve parameters for those markets, as well as bootstrapping new markets, incentivizing liquidity, and increasing Moonwell's actual lending share market on base. This is going to be a 12-month engagement from Warden.
Kind of similar to Gauntlet's borrow and supply cap guardianship. This role allows Warden to make adjustments on the fly, to kind of decrease governance fatigue, but also to be more reactive. Say like DAI, for example, say there's a new market launched. This gives Warden the ability to add well incentives to these new markets without having to wait 5 days, or also just adjust. Say we have a huge inflow of TVL into one market, rewards shrinking, not shrinking rewards, but lessening rewards per user or per dollar supplied. They'll be able to adjust efficiently. And yeah, so thank you for that, Madison. And then a couple more snapshot proposals. Thank you all for hanging with us. I know there's a lot to cover here, but Aerodrome DEX liquidity incentives. And this actually ties into one of our community questions. Typically we answer community questions at the end, but I've kind of sprinkled them throughout the call today. So we'll just take them as they are relevant to what we're discussing. But this community question comes from It's James Grace, and he or she is asking, what is Aerodrome, and what are these liquidity incentives all about? So the short answer is Aerodrome is an AMM or a DEX, and it follows in the footsteps of its sister protocol Velodrome on Optimism. Velodrome is like far and away the most popular AMM on Optimism, holds a huge chunk of Optimism's TVL. And Aerodrome functions slightly differently than like a traditional like Uniswap V2 or V3 AMM. Basically, instead of like directly adding incentives to a pool, incentives are used to encourage what's called V arrow holders. So arrow is like the token of Aerodrome. V arrow is like it's like an NFT version. Basically, you can lock your arrow, receive V arrow, and then use V arrow to vote on pools. And then whichever pool has like the most votes, or like the number of votes corresponds with how high the arrow emissions are for that pool. Kind of confusing, but definitely worth looking into, because Aerodrome launched this week on Base, and just overnight, the TVL is the highest of any protocol on Base. And yeah, just to get back to where I was, this snapshot proposal allocated roughly 52 million previously unallocated well tokens to be used as incentives for this new well wrapped ETH pool on Aerodrome. So TLDR, it's a pretty novel, cool AMM. It's where you can find the well wrapped ETH pool. It's where you can find the deepest liquidity for the well token on Base. And the Moonwell community is incentivizing this pool. This proposal is also connected to another proposal, Warden Moonwell Aerodrome Liquidity Manager. And basically the short of that is, like Warden is going to be managing these incentives on Aerodrome. So not only are Warden going to be managing incentives on Moonwell markets, but they're also going to be managing these incentives. So every week, essentially, they're going to be allocating a certain percentage of this 52 million well to incentivize voters to vote for the well wrapped ETH pool, which in turn increases the arrow rewards for supplying liquidity to that pool. Yeah, so not a super simple topic. If you have any questions about Aerodrome or this pool, join our Discord. We'll be happy to further explain things. But yeah, Madison, you want to hit on these ongoing proposals, and then
Yep, I'll cover 3 big topics. So MIP, M01, and R01, those are just the standard gauntlet parameter recommendations for Moonbeam and River. Then we'll just remember Moonwell contributors gauntlet, regular submit MIPs that adjusts important asset risk parameters. So that includes collateral factors, barrel caps, and the aim is just to balance risk and capital efficiency, right? Then we'll do M02 and R02. So same with Moonbeam and River. Those are about reward speed proposals. So those adjust incentives for the markets, safety module, and DEX pools on Moonbeam and River, right? Then finally, this is a big one, so excited. The Moonbeam ecosystem grant proposal was passed and went through. So the timeline on that was 2 snapshots and 1 on-chain vote. So the first snapshot was a runoff. The second one, we got enough votes to actually go on-chain. And then the on-chain vote actually ratified the grant. The on-chain vote just ended this week, so the grant's confirmed. And recall, we were pretty excited to receive one of the first grants available to Moonbeam projects all the way back in fall 2022. So this is somewhat of a continuation of that program. So we received about 1.5 million Glimmer, just over, to be used as liquidity incentives for Moonwell on Moonbeam. Exciting stuff.
Thank you, Madison. Circling back real quick, so there those ongoing MIPs, MIP M01, M02, and R01, R02 are active. The 01s have about 1 day left. And then the R02s have about 2.5 days left. The Moon River proposals, R01 and R02, have not hit quorum. So if you have delegated MFAM, and would like to vote on those are active for a little bit longer. And then finally, we are a little bit over time, but I do want to quickly touch on temporal governance. This is a novel cross-chain governance solution developed by Moonwell contributors at Lunar Labs, like Luke. And essentially, it enables the Moonwell community to vote as they normally would on Moonbeam. And if successfully passed, it teleports a governance proposal to Base to be executed on Base. And this is all powered through Wormhole and their cross-chain messaging protocol, and which is secured by 18 Wormhole guardians. So basically, when a governance proposal succeeds in getting enough votes on Moonbeam, the proposal is teleported to Base, or it submits a message to the Wormhole contract, and that's where the Wormhole guardians will sign using multi-party computation, essentially saying like, hey, we see this proposal, we see that it passed on Moonbeam, we're saying that it did in fact pass on Moonbeam, and we are going to okay its execution on Base. Super neat. I myself am not crazy technical, but I'm just ridiculously impressed with this solution that was created to empower governance on Base. So yeah, that's it for governance, guys. Just one last shout out, big thank you to Madison, but thank you to the whole Moonwell community. As you can see, it took us a long time to go through all the recent proposals, and you guys have all been voting and making your voices heard on the forums and in Discord, and just a huge shout out to everyone taking part in governance. So thank you all.
Yeah.
If I could say one thing really quick, thank you, Coolhorsegirl, and thanks, Eli. If I could say one thing really quick, I just wanted to mention with temporal governance, we have open sourced this as a public good for everyone in the Base ecosystem and for all Ethereum-based ecosystems if they want to use cross-chain governance. And as a community, we're actually going to apply for Optimism retroactive public goods funding in Q4. I just wanted to let everyone know that that's a pretty exciting opportunity for our community to potentially get an Optimism grant for this public good that we're contributing to the rest of the ecosystem. So thanks again, everyone, and I just want to share that bit of good news.
Thank you for that extra context, Luke. That would be huge. All right, so Sean, we have Sean from VectorDAO on the call. Sean, if you'd like to come to the stage. Just a quick intro. It's going well, man. Quick intro on Sean. So Sean is an illustrator, an artist, designer, creator of Moonwell's new beautiful logo and brand design. Everything from the new color palette to the orbitals, the moon-based NFT. That was one of his GIFs that I just slapped into Zora. The compound interest bar, the font, the overall brand language that we abide by now. That's all a brainchild of Sean. Also a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, which I've learned. You can find his work on Instagram at Sean_Nemitz, SeanNemitz.com. A few more things. Sean basically held workshops with Moonwell contributors, got feedback from the Moonwell community regarding what they liked about the old app, what they didn't like, what they liked about the old brand, what they didn't like, what could be improved upon. And Sean's approach to design work is super empathetic and attentive, and he just has a way of understanding people's wants and needs and then actually translating these abstract desires into actual concrete design. And yeah, he's been fantastic to work with. And just on a personal level, he's been super cool, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Sean. Hopefully that intro does you justice. I don't know if there's anything else you want.
Yeah, a little bit too much. That's super kind. But I feel the same way about working together with you and the rest of the team. It's been fun. It hasn't been hard, work. It's been fun work, and I think we can see that your community feels the same way about collaborating. It's like, this is something people want to be a part of. So it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Sean, if we could just, this is actually your second time in the community call. So I think some people here probably have a feel for who you are and what VectorDAO is, but one of the community questions we did receive was just a simple, like, what is VectorDAO? So I was wondering if you could kind of give the community some insight there.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So technically speaking, first of all, VectorDAO is not a DAO in the traditional sense. It's more of a internet collective. And by that we mean, people with same goals in mind, same passions. It's really a collective of those who are interested in the intersection of brand and Web3, and how can we help connect this technology to the problems and the desires that people have. It's connecting those dots, because there's people, maybe like yourselves, where you're focused on building out that technology, and you're doing a great job handling the people in terms of building a community. But a lot of times we focus on what can we do with the tech, and where we come in is we help. Well, how do we help connect that tech to a need, or how do we find what they need and find that that gap that we can bridge together? And that's kind of a nutshell of the work that we do. So yeah, VectorDAO is a collective of designers in terms of product designers, brand designers, illustrators, animators, strategists, writers, that are all looking to help bridge this gap between technology and people.
You guys definitely helped us do that, as you were saying. Like before you guys started any of the visual design work, you really you sat us down and asked a bunch of Moonwell contributors like a lot of really big, like, existential questions, like, why are we here? Why does this matter? And that's before any brand work was done. We had multiple workshops with you, and you really, individual and as a group, and really got those answers out of us. And the answer was clear, to make an impact, to increase economic freedom around the world, to create an app and a brand that's scalable and accessible to all, and not just the few crypto diehards. And I really do think you guys, and you especially, like, helped us step back and ask these bigger questions, and really just helped us evolve. And maybe kind of piggybacking on that, Sean, I think the community probably wants to know, like, and I think I maybe kind of just alluded to it a little bit, but like, why the brand refresh? Like, what's the importance? Like, why? Like, people love the old logo. I know for myself, speaking for myself, the logo caught my eye, and that was like, I was on Solar Beam, the Dex, and I saw the beautiful lotus flower, and I was like, what is this? And I joined the Discord, and it was, I love the old logo. I love the old website, but maybe we could discuss just a little bit of, like, why the brand refresh and why it's important.
Totally. Yeah, I think there's a few threads to pull on there. And to start off, I'll say I can't argue with the love for the previous look and logo. I think that's totally fine, and that happens with almost any brand refresh. But what I find is that when people are interested in building something, on the surface you see what's there, but underneath there's usually something bigger. And that's why I ask these questions about, why are you even building Moonwell?
Right.
Why are we here? And we find really interesting answers. And I was really excited about the answers that your team had. In particular, I thought that both you and Luke had these answers that were really big and ambitious and like almost scary, where you're talking about, changing people's lives, like in a very practical way, and allowing people to gain freedom where otherwise they might not have access to these kind of tools. That's super exciting. And that didn't really come through in the previous brand. While it was cool and there was a lot to like about it, the previous look of the app and everything was geared towards a certain type of person that might already be really into DeFi and might already know their way around and know the lingo.
Right.
And then there were other people, and I would probably fit into that category, that would love to take advantage of this tool, but just can't quite get their head around it. And we learned that that's who we want to help get into this. We don't want to dismiss perhaps these degens, but we want to also include those who are dabblers and who are looking to figure this out and want to get in. And so and that's important for people to know. I think they just might see or notice the changes to the overall look and not understand the reason. And the reason is we wanted to reach our mission. In a short phrase that we really latched onto was we want to lower the barrier and raise the bar. And so with everything we do with the color palette, with the look of the product and everything, making it simpler and easier to access was the goal.
Very well stated. Yeah, yeah. Just again, the old brand, the old logo was lovely, but yeah, probably not scalable for this bigger mission that the Moonwell community is embarking on. So yeah, this new brand is cohesive, cleaner, tighter color palette, style. It's been fun working with other designers to create these new graphics that do align with your brand language, Sean. It's been a lot easier, a lot cleaner, like I said. Yeah, I hope the greater Moonwell community is enjoying this new brand language as much as I personally have. One other little thing I wanted to kind of hint on, this was another one of your brainchilds, Sean, was the Moonwell Times. And I'm actually working on drafting the first edition right now. Yeah, I just I was wondering if you could just like harp on that just really quick, like maybe like how you essentially, so we had been doing the new moon updates as like a monthly blog post, but I wish I had a screen share going to share this, but Sean came up with a beautiful design for an idea for like a monthly blog post called the Moonwell Times, kind of like classic retro feel. And we're going to put out the first edition, hopefully this coming Monday. And then every first Monday of the month, put out additional editions. And I would like to see it grow. This first one, there's a ton of updates. So I'm probably just going to write it all and have it be like a monthly newsletter. But eventually I would like to see it potentially evolve into more of a communal kind of like mini newspaper where different contributors, different community members can contribute to the Moonwell Times and write little mini posts to be a part of it. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on the Moonwell Times. I just thought it was a really neat idea, and I hope people like it when they see the first edition here.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think that's a really great addition to have guest writers and people adding to it. I think that's going to add a new flavor to it. The idea there was if you're going to be posting news and updates, over time, I thought, well, people tend to use like Mirror and they create an article as an NFT.
Right.
And I remember my grandma would always collect and have newspapers like from years and years ago.
Right.
And some of those were really cool. You could see like when a president was elected, back in the 60s or something. And I thought, why not the same thing for us? So we can kind of look back, maybe 10, 20 years later and see what were the big things, in our time there. And people, your community is so invested in what you're doing, can also take part in that and kind of keep a piece of a Moonwell history. So we have a design that emulates a newspaper, and it's really for that reason. It's like keep track of the record and have something ownable that you can remember the journey with.
That's perfect. Well said. And yeah, Mirror just added support for base NFTs. So this first edition will be mintable on base, a base native NFT. And yeah, I hope people will enjoy collecting them as time goes on. Sean, I don't want to cut us off too short. But I did want to close with a community question, if that's okay. This comes from Dan IW. And Dan, you asked some awesome questions, man. I think we've probably answered a question of yours on every community call because they are always, very succinct and I don't know, well written. But anyway, Dan's question is, VectorDAO's quality of work speaks for itself. I would love to get into design in Web3. How can a designer or multimedia creator get involved and get their foot in the door in Web3, essentially?
Mhm. It's a great question. I'll do my best to answer that question. I think when it comes to getting into any door, it's all about relationships. It's all about who you know, really, and how you can help. So, maybe Dan, there's somebody that's really small and trying to build something in Web3. And if you're a designer, maybe just helping them create some assets or a logo or a bit of a branding. You could start there with who you know. For me, how I got involved was, I came in through kind of the financial world. I worked with a lot of venture capital firms, and over time, more and more VCs started to get into investing into Web3 apps and founders. So then I got a little bit of an introduction through that way. And so for me, it's really like you never know where you're going to end up, but it's usually through your network. And so I would just say start by looking and asking around those and even just saying that out loud. Hey, I want to get my foot into designing for Web3. People will remember that and help you connect the dots. People are really helpful, and they want to make those connections. Sometimes just saying what you're looking for does a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. Networking is super duper important. And yeah, just getting it out there, maybe starting, I don't know, being vocal about it on Twitter, on Discord, joining different Discords, finding DAOs that are aligned with your interests and the work you want to do. And yeah, I think that's a great shout, Sean.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thought. Sorry to cut you off there.
Okay, good.
I think there's really a karma to this, to like business and work. And so I would look at it as anything that you give away for free, sooner or later, that goodwill comes back to you. I don't think it comes back in a one-to-one or anything like you should just wait and expect something to happen. But I've seen it in my experience. When you give to others, it will come back around sooner or later.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Well, Sean, I just want to again thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join another Moonwell Community Call. Give the community some insight towards like why the refresh, and yeah, this has been a fun convo. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Take care. All right, guys, we are a little over time. I was originally wanting to keep this call at about 30 minutes. We're at 40 now. But I have a few more updates and community shout outs to give. So thank you all for sticking with us. Let's start with some community shout outs. First one goes to Gent12B. So Gent is a newer member of the Moonwell community. He has been so active, so helpful in the Moonwell Discord. So he originally surfaced the idea to the Moonwell community about the importance of Aerodrome, followed by putting in his first Gov proposal that actually created that pool and incentivized, allocated well incentives for that Aerodrome pool. And then since then, he's been every day in the Moonwell Discord, providing suggestions for improvements where he sees them, adding to the conversation. So I just wanted to give you a quick shout out, Gent12B. You are awesome, man. We are, as a community, we're so happy to have you with us and contributing and to Moonwell. And yeah, I just want to give you a thank you. A couple other shout outs. Fachucky, Fachucky leads the Spanish community for Moonwell. He's been doing these Nacion Crypto Twitter spaces on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, talking Polkadot, talking Moonwell. For any of our Spanish speakers on the call, please go check out Nacion Crypto, check out Moonwell ES on Twitter, check out Fachucky or talk to Fachucky on Discord. Those have been amazing conversations. talking about, yeah, not just Polkadot and Moonwell, but, the power of crypto, the potential for crypto in Latin America, where you do have countries like Argentina, where the inflation rate is 120% per year right now. So just some super, super powerful conversations happening there. So wanted to shout that out. I think the next Twitter space is tomorrow afternoon. Then final community shout out goes to Canbiak, another one of our mods, leader of the Portuguese community for Moonwell. She is going to be representing Moonwell and Polkadot at the Blockchain Festival in Rio de Janeiro in 2 weeks, September 12th through 14th. So if you happen to be in Rio, feel free or be sure to stop by her booth, the Polkadot Moonwell booth she's running. And yeah, much love to her. And thank you so much for having those boots on the ground and representing Moonwell and Polkadot at this big festival. A few other updates. I promise we'll let y'all go, but thank you again for hanging tight, everyone. So I do want to flag that the Code Arena audit ended this week, or the audit ended a couple weeks ago. Rewards were distributed and findings were released this week. So every contract, every code change for Moonwell is audited by Halborn Security, but also we've done more of a community audit through Code Arena. So Code Arena is a smart contract auditing platform. They say they can help find bugs faster than any other method, and that's through kind of, again, like communal gamified auditing, where projects release a code base or repo to these community members, and they race and to find bugs essentially in a certain time frame and get rewarded for it. So the Moonwell community put up $100,000 for this audit, and yeah, prizes have been distributed, findings have been released, and I did want to thank all the auditors that participated in that competition. Quick shout out to Sean and the Era team. Sean has put out another update regarding the Era Vault. It has currently 242K of ETH and USDC sitting in the Era Vault. So thank you, Sean, for keeping the community informed there. Really quick, just wanted to shout out Base. We're seeing absolutely explosive growth on Base, but I wanted to just quickly shout out a few fun things you can do on Base. Mint.fun is a really cool NFT platform that you'll see all the trending NFTs on Base, and I've never seen anything quite like it, with just the amount of free or like super, super cheap NFTs to mint. I've minted more NFTs in the last few weeks than I have in my entire life. So check out mint.fun. Base Paint is like a communal art project, basically, where everyone contributes to making a different piece of artwork every day, which is also mintable. You'll see that on mint.fun every day. Check out onchainsummer.xyz for the latest official Base mints there. Be sure to tune into On-Chain Summer Stories and follow Jesse Pollock. Jesse Pollock is the creator of Base, leading Base. If you follow his Twitter feed, you're probably going to stay in the know of all the cool things happening on Base. So guys, we are way over time. So just one final thank you to everyone in attendance. And one last reminder, there are 4 active governance proposals up on gov.moonwell.fi. So if you have delegated well in InFam, you are eligible to vote on those. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.